If the storyline is good, it's going to be it's going to be... Okay, if Grand Theft Auto 6 releases next year on time, it's going to be number 2. Okay. If Monster Hunter Wilds releases next year and on time, it's going to be number 3, but no lower than those 2 games. But aside from those 2 games, it's going to be amazing. All right. This guy played Crimson Desert at was it IGN, or it wasn't IGN at Gamescom. He played Crimson Desert at Gamescom. These are his impressions of the game. This is really important because we're all clinging to life. That this game is what the developers have actually been working on in the Black Desert community. And that's why our game sucks so much right now.
And today I'm very excited because we're going to go over our impressions and an almost review of Crimson Desert because we actually got to play it at Gamescom, and I was very surprised after our hands-on session with it. And I'm joined with 26 because 26, you got to play it next to me as well. We had our own little like TV.
If you guys remember, Asmongold saw this and then said that Classic WoW had better combat than Black Desert Online. Okay, play
screen and controller each, which is kind of rare in these events as well, where usually like one of us just has to watch or we have to like switch halfway. We actually both got to experience it, right?
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, definitely. And someone on a Monster Hunter video asked when...
Okay, he's talking over the music. Guys, the music is honestly some of the best part. Hold on.
Yeah, definitely. And someone on a Monster Hunter video asked when we were going to give our impressions, and it hurt myself.
The music in the game is so good.
To give my impressions on this game, because guys, it plays as good as the trailers, bros. It's actually sick, this game.
This was one of the biggest surprises of Gamescom for me. There was a lot of games there, and Crimson Desert is one that we've been following and covering for quite a while. And it is one of those games that when you see it, like, oh, the freaking hills in the background, the...
That's my favorite part of the entire thing. This is your wagon. This is my wagon. Dude just kicked that shit off.
Of the game, it looks too good to be true. But now that we've actually played a chunk of the game, and I will say what we got to play was like various of the boss fights that you will experience throughout the story. We didn't get to like go too much out in the open world and all that kind of stuff, but we did get a very good look at the boss fights and the actual combat and the sort of control.
Guys, let's be honest, the open world's going to be amazing. We already know the open world is going to be incredible because they've made the Black Desert's open world is incredible, right? It's like we know that the open world's going to be good. The boss fights and combat was what we're like really listening to. I'll be honest with you. The biggest thing that my concern is, guys, I'm worried about the storyline. You know it. I know it. We all know it. We're all terrified that the storyline's going to suck. Okay. If the storyline is good, it's going to be it's going to be... Okay. If Grand Theft Auto 6 releases next year on time, it's going to be number 2. Okay. If Monster Hunter Wilds releases next year and on time, it's going to be number 3, but no lower than those 2 games. But aside from those 2 games, it's going to be amazing.
Control scheme of the game, and it's ticking those boxes. This is like a weird mixture of some of our favorite like
I think it's The Witcher meets Assassin's Creed. Oddly enough, if the storyline is good enough, you know what I mean?
RPGs, but with a completely different control scheme, which I think we will talk about as we go through, because the controls are one of the most strange things. But the actual gameplay, the visceralness of it, the moves that you had, the way that you could interact with some of these bosses, and the animations of like, I don't know what you call them, finishers, parries, grapples and stuff like that is just nuts, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we have horse taming like this in Black... Mom, can we have horse taming? No, we have horse taming at home. Our horse taming sucks. What the This dude got up and is like riding this stallion.
Yeah, so super crazy. The game feels like
it's so
Dragon's Dogma, The Witcher, a wrestling game, and just like a fighting game all in one. It's like actually like, and I think that's one of the biggest things. It feels fresh. So a lot of the time we go into these demos and it feels like something that I've like played before, but this has been one of those previews or those games that I've like actually been super excited and surprised by because how fresh it felt to experience.
Guys, that's super exciting. I'm so hyped up about Crimson Desert, bro. I am so excited.
It felt like something new, but also familiar at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to
Oh, 7 horse? Yeah, nobody cares.
say I walked away from after playing feeling even
Look how
more hyped
sick
for this
that
game.
drop
This was
was.
already a game that grabbed our attention. So I feel like a lot of my worries are alleviated
That guy's dead. That dude's shot.
in terms of like, does this game look too big in scope and just too crazy with what they're going for? And having now played it, I feel like I can see
the horse called
the final
Roach.
vision of the game come together before me, and it's going to be one of those
Look at that
crazy,
dragon, guys!
massive RPGs where you're like crafting, you're gathering stuff, you're fighting, you're doing.
Okay, the coolest part of this boss, call me crazy, the coolest part of this boss is the fact that as you fight him and they cut the reeds stay cut. So you can see where you've been previously in the fight because like the reeds in the field get cut as you go. It's so cool. It was like that in the snow fight too.
There's crazy boss fights, monsters, and all that kind of stuff. And here you can see the
Sure, you might need a 4090 to run it, but who cares about that? Screw poor people, am I right, guys?
Reed Devil boss, so that we actually can show you each of the bosses we got to fight in the actual hands-on time that we had, right, T6?
Yeah, definitely. There was like 5 bosses in total, and this was like the first boss fight. And something that like instantly sold me on the bosses as well is because sometimes you get access to certain moves.
Can you tell me how can you explain to me how this game's storytelling is going to be better than BDO? I can't expect it to be different from BDO. It'll be dragged out with bullshit. Filler, make it 10x longer. We're all hoping against hope that the story is actually good in Crimson Desert. Like I said, that is my speculation about the game. I think the places where the game is potentially going to suffer is the main storyline. If they make a good storyline and the cinematics are good and everything, I think that we could see Game of the Year in third place Game of the Year, third place.
That you just can't do on
It could still be co-op. Don't call it a single player game. Oh god, Copium is good.
bosses because they're too large or whatever, but on the humanoid bosses, which there are a lot of, you can just straight up pick them up and power bomb them or like DDT them or just do some crazy thing like jump off their faces as well. So it's super fun playing this game in the combat, but I think Paradise will explain in a second that even though the combat feels good, the controls for the combat are kind of jank at the same time.
Really?
Yeah,
There's
this is the
interesting
thing,
things.
right? So on one hand, there are so
Well, Asmon's out. Dude can't just drag skills to the hotbar. Bro, he's cooked.
many cool moves and iterations of moves and animations and combos that you could do that I was completely surprised by. Like, you were just discovering new things left and right. And they did say that the game just eased you into, you know, your moveset and abilities and stuff like that. But obviously in the demo that we played, you're like thrown in the deep end against the boss with everything already in the game, and there's no like tutorial or anything like that. So I'll caveat it there. But yeah, the controls were nothing like any other game that you would have played, at least recently. It doesn't have the attack buttons where you would expect them to be from other similar like big open world kind of RPGs like this. So there was a real learning curve of just trying to figure out how to control this guy. But once you kind of understood a little bit of it, it actually did click quite well. And another thing that you're seeing here, the bosses often have these like special mechanics where there's like phases or a certain thing that you have to do. So on this Reed Devil boss, you get to break these scarecrows, and I'm not gonna hide my shame here. It took me maybe like 10
you were
minutes, 10 minutes.
struggling.
It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to destroy those scarecrows. Not because I'm stupid and I wasn't attacking them, but because you could only break them with
He's stupid.
an explosive arrow, which I didn't know I had, or a very certain like strong attack, which required a really weird like hold down of two buttons that I would have never guessed was a thing. So yeah, the controls very strange, but once it clicked, it felt
Really cool boss
like
fight.
the gameplay feels good. And so I can put controls to the side, you know, because maybe they can be rebound, maybe they'll have some feedback and change that. But
Okay, so the controls are rough, but I wonder if they're like the same kind of controls as BDO is, and like if you're not used to BDO combat, it's gonna feel a little janky at first, you know. I doubt it's the same as BDO though, because they wanted to make it like controller friendly.
more focused
Not that BDO isn't controller friendly, but it's just not as controller friendly.
on is the actual moveset, which was really good, and the actual bosses that felt really responsive and engaging to fight. So this guy was teleporting all over the place, as you can see. He was kind of nuts, but he was the easiest boss
This guy is literally, you're fighting a warrior, he just grabs you, bro.
in the demo, right? And then
It's
after that,
insane.
we went on to this Stag Lord boss, right? 2-6.
Yeah, definitely. And this dude actually gave you a nice little shield if you actually, and sword if you beat him, to use in the other boss fights. But I think this is the boss fight that I enjoyed probably the most as well. And I kind of looked over to your screen to see what you were doing, and it kind of really shows the different playstyles that you could actually go for, because I saw you using the arrow, because I was struggling with this guy a little bit, just going melee, like head to head on him, but then took out the bow, and the bow's actually got this kind of Red Dead eye type of slow motion thing that you can do, where you can dodge out the way and like snipe things. So I just took this explosive arrows out, and I was just cheesing this guy, and it was just like it was super fun.
Yeah, this guy was like, so you can literally.
Yeah, I don't really mind that they're reusing a decent amount of BDO's assets as long as the game's really good.
See it here. He's
Black Desert is a really good game. They should take the positive aspects of Black Desert without any of the negative.
Brawler. He has a sword and shield. He's picking you up. He's doing all these nuts moves. Like, fighting him again without a great grasp of the controls was pretty brutal. But I will say, I didn't die to this guy. I whipped my bow and arrow out, and I was sniping him in the head.
Yeah, my concern is that it's too easy.
I was doing these jumps.
Hopefully they make difficulties.
Oh, what's the game where you
my God.
jump to the side with your double pistols and everything goes slow-mo and you just like shoot everyone? It was like
Max Payne.
like Max Payne, but with the bow and arrow. That was definitely a move in this, which I love. So yeah, you could attempt different ways of fighting things. Like, you could go more range, you could go more melee, you could use more of the environment to your advantage, because when he does that charge attack that he just did then, if he hits a wall, he would actually get staggered. So there was a lot to play around with him, and again, this is just one boss out of many, and this is a humanoid boss as well, just like the Reed Devil, although this guy's way more like bigger than the Reed Devil. But there was like monster bosses, which we'll get to soon as well, which is really cool. So it's not just all
He's evasion rolling. He's garbage, guys.
Human enemies. There's actually monsters that you fight, almost like witches. Like, the next boss is like fresh out, or like a witcher or something. Like, it must be a folklore style like enemy or something. But yeah, the really cool thing, like you've said, is when you beat him, you get his shield, which looks really cool, and his sword, and it was an upgrade in the demo, so it was just a really small thing that was really cool to see. And it also got you in the menus a bit, which we don't have here, but you could see all of the stats and the equipment that you had, the crafting stuff.
Oh, that transition was
cool.
great.
Here you can see the Whitehorn boss, which had
This one has too many effects on the screen, I think. But aside from that, this boss fight is good too.
This whole like preamble on the way to finding him, where like bandits were trying to like sacrifice villagers to appease him, because they thought it was like a vengeful spirit of the mountain or something like that. And you come along, I guess, doing a quest, and you're telling the bandits to stop. And
imagine all this in Black Desert. The backporting the mechanics to make the bosses like Black Shrine should have been this honest. Yeah, you're not wrong. Black Vegas, welcome back for 3 months, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I mean, like, guys, they will definitely, Crimson Desert's gonna come out, and then they're gonna update Black Desert's engine to be what Crimson Desert is.
And then this guy shows up, obviously, to fight you, because you've just taken away his meal that the bandits were delivering.
Yeah.
I'll just quickly say before I pass it to you that you could do this like Dragon's Dogma style mount mechanic.
Look at the snow. He's insane. Look at that. You can see your tracks through the snow, guys. This is absolutely wild. Look at this. Like, holy moly.
Thing which I didn't get to fully experience, but you could climb on this guy if you jumped on him, and you could like grab onto him, climb all over him, stab him and stuff like that. So there was some like cool mechanics that you weren't even able to fully like test out or weren't explained, which is one of the biggest things I loved about Dragon's Dogma, which was the mounting.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that the actual
Mom, can we have stoneback crab? No, we have stoneback crab at home.
Like people that were hosting us.
Holy shit, Mom! The stoneback crab at home is crazy.
From the Crimson Desert developer team said was like people were finding this game like pretty hard as well. So I haven't seen that many previews or people talking about their impressions, because a lot of people that actually went to play the demo were just getting slapped by like the difficulty.
Really?
But I found it like
really a lot of people just suck at video games, guys. That's good. It's good that a lot of people were getting turboed by the difficulty on the bosses.
fun to play
a
through
good
that
thing.
stuff, and the difficulty was like there obviously, but it was stupidly fun. But here we're on to the, I think it's a queen stone back crab, and I think this boss fight kind of sums up what an issue with the game is. Some of the things are way too specific and way too quirky. It doesn't feel intuitive. Like there's a lack of
I hate that the Black Spirit is actually useful in this game. Why the f can't my Black Spirit stop this? My horse just dies.
intuitive gameplay to the game, and maybe you can talk about the problem here with the Spider-Man swinging into the backflip that you had to do.
Yeah,
very specific.
It's literally going to do it in a second and make it look really cool and easy, and it wasn't easy to pull off. I will say I think both this as well as other people's impressions of it maybe being too hard might come down to the controls not being intuitive and sort of standard, which is something I think that could definitely be worked on as feedback to make a bit more like straightforward and in line with like people's muscle memory from various other titles. But
okay, now if I spend a lot of money, can I make the game easier? Just be honest with me. I'm really hoping that the monetization for Crimson Desert is literally just pay $70 for the game. Pay $60 for the game and then you're done. Right? There's no like necessarily in-game cash shop, no microtransactions. It's just boom, and then you own the game, and then that's it. Skins, I hope those are obtainable in the game. I hope you have to work for those. I hope it's literally just like The Witcher. I want to buy it and be done.
the objective here was to break different weak spots in the back, which he's already done, and is now to break the big pop thing on the top, which you would do through this jump and a nice swing. It looks so cool into a spinny attack, bam, and you defeat the
that was
here.
sick.
Now, when we were doing this, the move did not function like that at all. I don't know if it was like a bug in the demo build or if we were just a potato.
No, it was a feature. We see this all the time in Black Desert. It's a feature.
But doing it, who really knows? But I will say I tried it for a long period of time. I definitely was doing the correct inputs because I was doing the move, but the swinging wasn't functioning as expected. So I think there is some things to polish and sort of work on in terms of the actual controls and execution of some of the combos. But what I can say is when you were able to pull them off, they looked very polished, very visceral, very satisfying. The actual moves were nice. It was crazy to do the sort of intro mission where there was loads of like barbarians fighting you at the same time, and you'd be like riposting one, perfect dodging another, going into like a body slam on another. It was pretty visceral and crazy. So I think there is huge potential for Crimson Desert, especially with the scope of the world that they're going for. I just really hope they'll listen to some of the sort of feedback to do with the
Listen to feedback. Goofball. Silly goof. Are you Korean? Then no. Okay. All right, Buttercup. I think this game is going to be incredible. I really do. I think this game's going to be amazing. I think that the storyline of this game could be the only thing that pulls it back. But like, I really do think the game is going to be absolutely amazing. You have the world building of Black Desert Online combined with like this RPG and like the combat system that we love so much. I'm going to play the crap out of this game when it comes out. It was really nice to have a review of somebody that actually got to play it and has thumbs to give us an honest take on how they feel about the game. See, that person's not in the BDO community. Right, he's just hyped about the game and he got to try it for the first time, and that's his honest take. So yeah, I really like this video. This is incredible. Here's the video right here. You guys can go interact with it, give it a thumbs up. And it's RX Gaming. Absolutely nuts, bro. Very, very excited.